Good afternoon, everyone. This is the second week of January, also known as the What Just Happened week. First week, you're coming back. It's January 3rd. Everybody's excited. I need to get caught up on all the crap I missed. And then the second week's like, I really need to get some projects done and kicked off before it's too late. And then third week, you actually kind of hit a routine.
So when do you look at it and go, oh no, I forgot to do all those things from last quarter and now I got to play catch up?
That's what we call November. Got Richard Bauer with me today. We've got a lot of people popping on, looks like, even though StreamYard does not recognize them. If you're out in the Peanut Gallery on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, please say hi. Make fun of Richard's lack of a beard if you can.
Hey, it's cold, okay?
It's not cold over there. You're in Tennessee. I'll tell you about cold. It's supposed to we have a high of -6 on Sunday.
We all have choices in life, and you chose to live in Nebraska, and I chose to live in Tennessee.
Boring here, man. That's okay. Where you're from, like your water kills people. So you have the highest marine or death rate in the world, or something like that.
I don't know about Chattanooga, but I mean, if
maybe South Africa.
Oh, in South Africa, yeah, man, we have a death rate that America can't come close to. I mean, we wear that badge with pride.
So you upgraded to Tennessee.
I did, vastly.
In Nebraska, it's like, we're kind of like Australia. Like, most of the land here can kill you. Out in Australia, they just have a bunch of animals that can kill you. Here, just the weather will.
Yeah, I love living in Tennessee with the lack of animals that can kill you. I mean, besides a bear, we really don't have anything else to worry about.
Hey, don't underestimate those. You have elk out there?
No.
Okay.
No.
Really angry cats?
Lots.
All right. We are off topic here, but the topic for today, we're talking about road mapping and kind of having a plan. I work with a lot of MSPs that have nothing. I need to go talk to a client. I need to do a QBR, and they'll just walk in the door and say, "Hey, you need a firewall." Why? I was just telling Richard, that's like trying to get to second base on your first date. You have to have the right kind of client that's gonna be up for that. Most people need to have some kind of process you're going through. And so our really easy one that we tell everybody about every single year in January is assess, recommend, budget, and roadmap. You assess your client's needs, recommend the ones that fit their shop, and then make a budget that fits them and negotiate that with them. And then once they approve that, create a roadmap that you can follow for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. That's easing your way in. You're buying the wine, you're making sure everything's going well on the date, you're reading the partner across the field, you're learning about them, thinking, hey, maybe we should go get some gelato next, or maybe we should go out and get some chocolate. And you're crafting the data around what you're learning. And with your customer journey, it should be the same thing. And so when you're on this journey with the client throughout the year, are you listening to them and adjusting to what they need? Mm-hmm. So Richard has some good stories on this. I know that you changed around when you were working for your MSP. You changed around quite a few things and saw a big difference, not because you were offering different opportunities, but because you changed the way you talk to them.
Correct. And it was putting the client first. And I know that everybody talks about, the client is always right and the customer is the center. And I take the approach of the customer is not always right, but the customer is king. And I took that with a sign of respect that when you go and speak to a customer, you speak to the customer in the language that they're accustomed to. So, you used the example of a firewall. We used to have a really, really good sales process that you would walk in and you almost scare the client because you need this firewall. Well, what is this firewall? But when you go in there and you start talking about what the client does and how to help them achieve their goals, and you start talking in language that they understand, it also puts you in a place where you're able to disagree respectfully with the client and say, well, no, that's actually not what you need. This is what you need, and this is the reasons for it. And when you start to have those types of conversations with the customer, one, the customer knows what to expect because they're not just getting Adam Walter walking in there with this big thing called a firewall, and they go, "But my wall's not on fire. What are you talking about?" They starting to understand, and you starting to talk the same lingo with them, and it helps just overall, because that also now forms a level of trust, and you can start to engage with the client more about what their business is all about and what their business needs are. And the opportunities that we got out of there were phenomenal. It's always a nice call when you get a call from the project lead going, "Can you please stop going and seeing clients?" And you go, "Well, why?" "Well, because we don't have enough project resources to fulfill all the projects that are coming in." And I go, "Not my problem. You told me to go and get some business. I'm getting the business.
Now you find engineers."
Exactly. Not my problem. So it's important to start having those conversations with the clients in languages that they understand.
Yeah, and that's where I talk about, if for those of you reading the NAN, like I do, the 3 bullet points of the event calendar breakdown, what activities to focus on. So this quarter, you're focusing on assessing your clients, getting that hardware architecture assessment, so that, and then learning from your clients in this first QBR for the year, or your first client strategic session of the year. What are they wanting to accomplish this year? So as you're learning about them, as you're assessing them, you can meet those needs. Maybe they don't need that firewall right now, even though as a technology, it's outdated. It's still a layer 3 firewall. It doesn't do a lot of things, but maybe that's not as big of a deal for them as say wireless segmentation is, or because they have because they're a coffee shop. Getting that public and private wireless going is very important to them.
Remote users, there's no longer a need for a big firewall that can handle 300 connections, because you've got a remote workforce that now you need to start thinking, maybe we need to get smaller firewalls to send out to the residential homes instead.
Maybe their biggest thing is PCI compliance. Maybe the biggest thing is like talk about dog kennels all the time because it's such a far out there client. Maybe their biggest need is wireless cameras, not the firewall. It's only broken. It's not the biggest. It's not the end of the world because they don't store any financial data on this site. They just have webcams. Then you can worry about DDoSs, and we won't worry about that right now.
Sure.
But the whole point is they don't need a $15,000 firewall. They need $15,000 of webcams that they can sell their clients on. Look, you can like talk back to a little fluffy in the middle of the day. They just need to know what the opportunity is. And that's on you as a technology provider, is to learn about your client and take those 10,000 solutions in your head and say, did you know you can do this in technology now? Oh, I didn't know that. And that's how you create action items for success. And now you're getting the same spend from your client, or you're getting increased spend from your client because you're giving them projects and technologies that they can use rather than the ones from your hardware vendors that have the biggest margin. Completely different mindset. And one of them is way more rewarding than the other. I know some people love the hard sell, the used car sale. They want to squeeze out a drop from their client. But when you walk in and you solve a business problem for your client using a piece of technology, I love doing that. I love walking into a school and saying, hey, look, if you do this, you won't ever have to worry about downtime with your test cycles ever again. You won't ever have to fight patching for your iPads ever again. You won't have to deal with Chromebook issues in the middle of the school day ever again. You're still doing timesheets by hand. Why? Well, it's just the way you do them. No, there's automated time checking checkout systems for all these purposes. Let's research them together. And you see that the business has gotten better because of something you helped them design. And that is rewarding to me as an engineer.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that, Adam, so often when we put the business solution forward to the client, it involves more than one technology. So if you're going to go and pitch to the client about a new firewall as well as something else, generally you're going to pitch a firewall with one quote. You're going to pitch the webcams with another quote. You're going to pitch your backup internet with another quote. So the client's now sitting with multiple proposals. Whereas if you're talking about a business solution, well, what is a business solution? That all your customers get to chat with Fluffy every day of the week whenever they want to. Well, that could comprise of a new firewall, the webcams, backup internet and everything like that. And from a techie point of view, you jump in because, hey, this is exciting. But from a client point of view, they're going, this is exciting because I'm getting a business solution that I need for my business, and not just, I don't know what a firewall is. So it can be both exciting for both parties, but from just two different sides of the coin.
I think we get stuck in the assessment of technology. Like, I'm going through and I'm looking for warranties. I'm looking at life cycle spans. We talk about that in a lot of software. Like, we talk about depreciation cycles for our hardware assets. Like, that's such a small amount of a business and what they're trying to do. But because we go to all these vendor trade shows and everything, everybody wants you to resell. Like, our product is better than booth X. And you get caught up in this game, and you forget that you need to assess the business needs of the client. And you don't have to be a business expert. Like, I know very little about running a dog kennel. But if I sit in front of Sally and I say, hey, look, how are you running your dog kennel? Like, what do you do that's extra special? Like, well, right now we really take care of them. We know all of our dogs' names. We put a little bow on them when they're giving this unique feel for their dogs. Like, what is your struggle? Like, well, we see other kennels like have these live streams, and we want to make sure our live streams are private and that a customer can pay extra for a live stream of Little Fluffy. Like, oh, that's really easy to do. Like, well, it's very expensive. Well, actually, it's not. Webcams have come way down in price these days, and they have these interactive ones that you can get, and we can put you in the system for it. Mm-hmm. Oh, let's look at how much that'll cost, and let them figure out how they're going to resell it, what the margins are going to be, and everything like that. You're just providing the technology. They might have a false assumption that they can't afford the webcams because they used to be $1,000 a webcam for an interactive webcam that would pan, tilt, and zoom. Well, heck, nowadays you can get like you can get a faux cam for nothing. There's a lot of just cheap webcams out there that are amazing because that product line has matured. Heck, we got interactive webcams on drones now.
Exactly. And when we start getting to know our customers better, and we start chatting to them about these different business solutions that they have, most of the time the client is giving you the problems that you have solutions for that you can pull out, instead of you having to go and well, tell me how old your firewall is, tell me about your warranties, tell me about all of those things. They're giving you the stuff that's at the front of their mind, and all you need to do is go, okay, cool, I can sort that out for you. And very quickly you stop worrying about the warranties on the computers, because why? You build in your internal processes within your MSP that automatically notify you from your RMM tool into your PSA that there's a warranty that's expiring. You send it out, and it becomes like a normal, replacement of a hard drive. It's quick, it's easy, and it doesn't have to get brought up to senior level management or whatever the case is. And you start having those more engaging conversations where you're listening to the pain points of the client and not trying to sell your warranties because that's where you're trying to get your money. That automatically becomes a churning point because your systems internally are so well designed that the internal salesperson, the receptionist, I don't care who it is, tells the client, you've got a warranty here, it's going to cost you an extra $150, sign on the dotted line, we get it taken care of. The client knows when Richard's coming to speak to you, we're not going to be speaking about a warranty. Why? Because that's already handled. What are we dealing with? Tell me your business problems. I'll give you the solution for it.
Yeah, and that is such a rewarding situation when you are road mapping with your client, not just in a silo of technology, but when they're explaining to you their problems, and you're like, well, you can automatically do that, right? Like, don't mansplain it to them, but there's a technology that came out recently that'll allow you to access that file from anywhere. Like, you don't have to worry about saving or syncing or anything like that. It just works. Mm-hmm. Or you can access this from anywhere. There's some caveats for security that you just need to be aware of, but we can help you there. Or we can automate your compliance, like, so that you're getting PCI compliant and you don't have to worry about these big audits all the time.
Like, and it's a beautiful thing where you see their eyes start to sparkle and they get a smile because hey, they're willing to spend money if we can sort out the solution for them.
Yeah. It's amazing how much money, when I was doing CIO consulting, it's amazing how much money I was able to get from clients who people had written off. Mm-hmm. Like, I made the most money off of break fix clients who had been written off by their MSP. And they did not know that things could be better. They had, like, I tell the story all the time. They just upgraded their internet. They doubled their speed and still things sucked. Well, they doubled it from 10 to 20 and they had 200 students and another 50 staff in a school that was constantly streaming.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you doubled your speed, but no one ever like sat down and said, what do you actually need? What are you trying to accomplish?
Mm-hmm.
And so doubling speed means nothing. It's like, we had 50% growth. That's great when you made $1 last year.
Yeah.
You found 50 cents in the couch cushions. That's 50% growth. Anyways, the knowing your needs and knowing what you're trying to accomplish, and then you solve a problem. They're like, did you know, like, it's going to cost you an extra $50 a month and this problem goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And you watch their eyes like, seriously? Like,
it's that easy?
It wasn't your job to know this stuff. Think about in your MSP, how many things do you know these days that if you had known it 10 years ago, like, I did not know it was this important to do this little tiny thing. That is where your client is. There are technologies that you know that could solve them tens of thousands of dollars. I did a pitch to a client the other day, a prospect the other day, and they're like, oh my gosh, that one feature of your software will save me $400 a month. That was like, cool. Like, I'm solving a problem for the customer. You need to do that as a technology provider for your clients. If you want to see somebody who's insanely good at assessing a client, making a recommendation, fitting it into a budget, and then having a plan, go talk to any car salesman in the United States. Find a big car shop, like where they've got 3,000 items on the lot, right? So just like you guys, in your head, you have 3,000 items you could be selling. Now you really want to sell that Lamborghini over there, or you really want to sell that Jeep Rubicon or the high margin Humvee that you're gonna get big kickbacks from GMC on. But not everybody can buy those. But if you sold that to everybody, the car salesman would just drown. He would never get his commissions. But if he comes in, shakes your hand, says, hey, how's it going today? Tell me about your wife and family. He's starting to assess you.
Absolutely.
Oh, you have 3 kids. In his head, he's knocked out half his inventory.
Yep.
Oh, what are you looking for? I'm looking for a family car that gets about 30 miles a gallon. He's knocked down there 25% of his inventory. In his head, they're calculating. And they're doing it in a genial way where you feel heard. And they're helping narrow down what you need. And so if car salesmen sold the way MSPs do, you would walk into a car sales shop and they would put down the Humvee in front of you without asking questions, saying, this is the car for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's $100,000 vehicle. I can't afford that. Well, let's talk about moving some prices around or giving you a 10-year contract and making it affordable. Like, that's a lot of car. I don't know. They're going to walk away and you might be able to convince them if you're a really good salesperson. But if you walked in there and said, hey, tell me about your lifestyle. Tell me about they'll ask about your job. Why are they asking about your job? They don't know how much you make.
Mm-hmm.
Can you afford this thing? They want to know, what are you trading in? They're looking over at your car you just walked out of. Okay.
And the good car salesman and salesmen in general, they will not get a preconceived idea of how much money you've got to spend. They will understand your circumstance, because when the car salesmen ask you these questions, they want to get to know you. Mm-hmm. They want to get to know so they can direct you either in, do you want the Hummer or do you want the Jeep or do you want the Tesla? But they're also not looking at you going, well, we don't know how much money you've got. To them, you've got all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Why?
Be a trust fund right there.
Exactly. And we need to remember that when we're chatting with our clients, when they tell us their problems and we think of a solution, don't automatically rule out half of what we've got or whatever the case, because we go, oh, well, that's too expensive. It's too this, it's too that. When we start putting solutions that meet a business need, if it's going to sort a business need out and add value to the customer, they will find the money to make it happen.
It's like at the schools. The reason I was able to find more money out of the schools is they moved things around because they knew it was going to help the kids. And then they also have lots of donors. They can have a donor step up and say, hey, look, I need $50,000 to solve this problem so the kids can have a better experience at school. They may not have been able to give you 10,000 MRR, but they can give you $100,000 or $200,000 to solve the Chromebook issues for the next 3 years. You know, that is how you have to think. But you have to know your client. You have to assess their needs so you can make appropriate recommendations and then work with them on the budget. Because by the time you get to the budget, they already know they want these things because they're solving a problem for them. Now it's up to them to help you decide, like, okay, can I afford the Humvee? Can I afford the Jeep Rubicon? Can I afford the Tesla? If I can't, how do we get there? And because I need these solutions, I know that if I do these things, like when I was buying my Tesla, I knew I was going to save $500 a month in gas. You know, people always make fun of me, like, oh, you know, that's not really green, right? You know, it still burns coal, right? I'm like, I don't care. I'm trying to save gas because I carpool all day with my kids, and I was tired of paying $500 a month in gas. That makes it a lot more affordable for me when I think in those terms. Like, I'm saving $500 a month, and I'm buying a Tesla. So I'm getting both. What is your client going to see? Are they going to increase revenue because of a technology you gave them? Are they going to not have to hire 2 people because you help them understand how AI is going to write articles for them? Whatever it is, you can make it more affordable that way.
Yep, absolutely.
And so, but you have to assess their needs, not just technology, but from a holistic business. Who is this person across from me? What do they want to do? Just like I said, like if I walked on to a used car lot and they just start selling me a car without figuring out who I am first, that's how you MSPs are selling hardware and software. You need antivirus. You need this firewall. You need this, 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 and this. You didn't even ask me who I was first. You didn't get my name.
Correct.
You know, understand what I'm doing.
Correct.
There are situations where antivirus is not necessary.
I haven't run antivirus for the last 7 years. Don't tell anybody, but so my point is, don't pitch antivirus to me, because straight away I'm going to go, I don't need it, I'm not interested, and I'm out the door. But if you start talking to me about a business solution as a whole that may use antivirus to achieve the solution, well, now all of a sudden you've got my interest.
Yeah. It's all about context. So when you're road mapping out the next 12 months, you need to do this in January. That's why we kick off each quarter. So our quarters go, the first quarter is assessing hardware and software. The second quarter is assessing services that support that hardware and software. The third quarter is identifying risks to all of that. And the fourth quarter is strategically lining all that up and wrapping up for the next year. And during each one of these sessions, you need to be learning about the business so that when you make recommendations, you're making recommendations that align with them. And then you negotiate the budget with them, because you might have to do some quirky things, like they might have to go out and find a donor. Oh, if you do a lump sum, is that easier? Yes. Oh, in that case. And so learn about your client, assess, recommend, roadmap, and you will deliver so much more. Assess, recommend, budget, and roadmap. And road mapping is your entire year. How can you design out 2024 if you don't know what your client is doing? So how can you make a good recommendation if you don't know what they're trying to accomplish?
So I will agree, but I want to add this caveat to it. For our international listeners, from specifically to South Africa, I know that the financial years run differently in South Africa than they do to America. So everything that we've said here is still relevant to you. To all of our customers, if you get a new customer that comes on board halfway through the year, think about it exactly as we've said it. Start with the hardware, start with those things, and work your way through. At some point, you'll be able to line them up with all of your other customers if that's what you so wish. But take the concepts that we've spoken about here and apply to your customers throughout. So, for example, South Africa, I know that the new financial year starts on the 1st of March. So we go all the way through until end of February, cut off that financial year. So now is actually the best time to start looking at assessments, recommendations, budget, and roadmap, because then they can try and get that into their budget if they haven't got final sign-off for the 1st of March 2024 to see you through all the way until end of February 2025. But the principles are still the same. Even when you get a new client in the last month of the year, apply the same logic. Get in there, understand, know your customer, so that the solutions that you present are business focused based on your assessment, your recommendation, the budget, and then the roadmap, and the customers will sign on the dotted line without a doubt.
And I would like to point out now, Richard's from the MSPs. He's been doing this for a while, and I'd like to point out he's already talking about 2025. You caught what he said there. We just started 2024. He's already into 2025 when it comes to roadmap because you follow these things. And that's how you stabilize your business. That's how you get ahead of what your customer is wanting. He's talking about 25 right now in January. It sounds scary, but it's completely just part of your vocabulary when you do this style of client engagement.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Richard, for coming on today. Is great. Maybe we'll permanently replace Skip with you going forward.
You can leave that in the comments if that's what you wish. I come at a very high price, though. I have a funny accent.
We'll see your beard grow over the years. Richard's not going to shave for an entire year. So thank you, everyone, for showing up today. Looks like we had a good audience, and we'll see you all next week.
Cheers, everyone.